Morris here. I've decided to do a Galactic Science Let's Play, particularly for the early game, using the scenario here where you don't get sand that a lot of people complain about. So I've decided, let's just show people that this can be done. Okay. You start off initially, punch some wood, and let's put this quest book here. Do some of these initial quests. Whole new moon. The quest just for showing up. That one's always fun. And grab the star harvester. You get a quest for doing that. Quest reward for doing that. The bone crook is nice. The dirt's more important early game, so select the dirt. I'm just going to try to burn through this stuff as quickly as possible. Put the star in there. Start converting some oxygen. Okay, now if I leave that one block of wood, these won't break down. If I break that last block of wood, they will. Okay, make a crook real quick. I got a sapling. Where did I get a sapling from? Huh, interesting. Alright, let me reposition some of this stuff. So we made the axe. My way of thinking is when you get these rewards where you have to pick something, if they're all reward bags, it doesn't matter, just grab one. But if you have a choice, oh, that's a great one. This one really serves no purpose other than wasting inventory space. If you have a choice between a reward bag and other items, for the most part, I always choose a reward bag. And the reason is the other items, there's usually a way to make them, but there are some reward bag items that you can't get any other way, and so that's why that's the preferable choice. Okay, good. I'm getting some saplings here. Getting some apples. It'd be nice if I got a silkworm. Sometimes it's hard to think that some of the rewards you get are useful, but these dyes, actually, these will be somewhat useful. The orange will be useful to me later. The other ones I don't know that I'll ever need, but they're not going to be useful to me for a really long time. But almost everything else in the game is useful in one way or another, in terms of reward bags. Some more so than others, obviously. Alright, let's see if that oxygen tank is done. Okay. Okay, I may have done myself a disservice here. But it's an easily recoverable one. I basically used up a lot of my wood making that chest, so I didn't have any left to make a wooden pick. But that's okay. Alright, so let me just get this tree here. I don't want to use the axe to chop this down because it'll chop down the entire tree, and I want to use a crook on those leaf blocks to try and get as many saplings and silkworms out of it as possible. So it's pretty important early on to have wood and resources. So your first day, and by day I mean up until when the sun sets. In Galactic Science, the days and nights are extremely long. I think it's been said like 4 times longer than in standard Minecraft. So standard Minecraft, a full day is 10 minutes a day and 10 minutes a night. So if that 4 times as much, that would be a 40-minute day and a 40-minute night, which might be right. I haven't ever timed it, but it does seem like a really long time. So the first day, you want to focus on 4 things. You want to get a supply of materials to get you through the night. So you want to have a supply of the moon turf, the moon dirt, and wood. The moon rock isn't as important because when night falls, you can dig inside your base underground and get that. But what you don't want to do is you don't want the sun to set and you don't have sufficient resources to keep you busy during the night. That would be bad, because then you're going to spend that 40 minutes or whatever it is sitting there with nothing to do, and that's really awful. Okay, again, take the reward bag because eventually melons won't do me any good right now. I can sift the seeds from that for later. Let's just check these reward bags real quick. A good and a basic marble and the tutorial sign. I am having really awful luck with these quest rewards, because if there's anything that's pretty much useful, it's the tutorial sign. I have not found any use for it, and the problem with the marble is it's one of the few items in the game that there isn't a way to produce more of it easily. I believe if you the one recipe with marble rocks has a bug in it if you actually go that route. There's a potentially game crashing bug associated with creating marble, if I remember correctly. So you don't want to do that. So the problem with the marble is you only get it from these quest rewards, and you don't get enough of it to really kind of build anything significant. So it really almost serves no purpose. Now, at this point, I'm really just trying to get a worm, a silkworm. There's one. And I am going to start that converting ASAP. And I'm going to get some more trees planted near it, hoping that it will spread. Now, if you work this right, you won't ever need more than that one silkworm. If you always have one tree that's already converted and one tree that's not, and you harvest the tree that all the leaves are converted and leave one infested leaf to reinfest the new one, then that'll just kind of keep going on over and over and over again. And like I said, you'll never need more than one silkworm. And there are actually ways, once you get to the point where you have a little bit of iron, that you can take some logs and embed them in the ground, and then use shears to shear leaf blocks, and you place them on those logs and then they won't despawn, and then infest the leaf blocks. And again, as long as you leave one leaf block, you can harvest around it and you'll have kind of perpetual string generation. That was a trick that one of the guys on the Galactic Science community server did that I thought was pretty clever. When I get to that point, I will make use of that myself. Okay, early game is a bit tedious, but it's something you have to do. I was saying earlier that there are certain things that you have to do on that first day before the sun sets. Gather your turf, gather your dirt, gather wood, and the other thing is you need a wall to keep creepers out. And the last thing is you have to get to the point where you've sieved enough glowstone to have glowstone torches to keep your tree farm from spawning mobs inside it. The wall is pretty important, but you're not going to have time to put a roof on it, so you will get spiders in there. You can wall off enough of the interior of the base that the spiders can't get in, but if you have a sword, you can go out carefully and maybe kill the spiders. They may kill you, so it's a somewhat risky move. You're better off just kind of waiting until daybreak and letting them despawn. But it's sure nice if you do accidentally run out of wood, if you have the ability to come out here and get some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may not be making this big enough, but that's okay. All of this can get adjusted later. My pick is already almost broke. Something I highly recommend is, as early as possible, make an RR pick. I believe RR is for Routers Reborn. Let's look real quick. Yeah, Router Reborn. It's not that difficult to make. Your first 3 diamonds, you should make a diamond pickaxe. Don't use it. Your first 4 sand should go to making a piece of TNT to make this. That's how useful it is. I think it's the absolute first thing you should make with diamonds and sand, if at all possible. In this scenario, since you don't start with any sand, it may not be possible, so it may take me a little longer to get to an RR pick in this scenario. But if you're in the other scenario where you start with, I think it's like 8 pieces of sand, it's that useful that I would say you're making a good decision if you use 4 of those sand to make an RR pick as soon as you have 3 diamonds. The other stuff you'll get easily. The flint is a very abundant resource early game, and the torches are pretty easy to make. Okay, we have a tiny bit of wood. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to harvest some of these logs while these leaf blocks convert over to string. And again, as long as I leave one, yeah, there's there's at least 2 in there. They won't despawn on me because if I let these despawn, I believe I lose the string. Actually, let's not waste these leaf blocks. Another silkworm. That's nice. In case I mess up, I'll have a backup. Now at some point I may actually make this walled enclosure a little bit larger, just to give me a little more room for trees. Oh, see there? I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. This is a little bit risky. I have to be somewhat careful with this right here. Otherwise I could despawn that and lose my potential string that I've worked so hard to be in a position to make. But now let's make some more picks. It kind of stinks to be using this wood, which at this point is pretty precious, to make these darn wooden picks, but you know, I don't really have a choice. So again, just focusing on gathering resources. And being ready for the first night. What time is it? It's fairly early in the day. I've got time to work with yet. And you can easily see how awful these wooden picks are. You just kind of burn through them like nothing. And it's a little bit frustrating to mine this dirt and this turf and then have to use so much of it to make your initial wall, but it's really, I can't emphasize strongly enough how necessary it is to do that. So the first game day, you really want to have this wall at least 2 high. It makes me feel a little better to have it 3 high, but 2 high will absolutely work. And in Galactic Science, because you're on the moon, gravity is less, you can jump higher. You can still jump over a 3 high wall. So that way, if there are skeletons up here, they can't, or it's harder for them to shoot me over the wall if it's 3 high. If you have time, you make it higher. Like I said, this will not keep spiders out, but it will, if you get it lit up so that there's no spawnable spots in here, it'll at least keep you from having to worry about skeletons, zombies, and creepers. Now, by the end of the second day, you should be progressed far enough in the tech trees to have a cobblestone generator. And once you have access to cobblestone on demand, there is no reason in the world not to have a blast shield over your base. And a blast shield, a very, very basic one, is just 1 layer of cobblestone with a half slab of cobblestone on top of that. And that combination, 1 layer thick over your entire base, will give you almost perfect protection from meteors. I'm trying to remember if I've mentioned it or not, but this scenario, you are vulnerable to meteors. 1 meteor strike on top of here early in the game can wipe out your oxygen production, and if you lose your oxygen production, you're done early in the game if you don't have a way to recreate it, or if you don't have a backup. It is just game over, man. Game over. So put some of this stuff away. I may make another chest, a double chest. For a variety of reasons. Basically, as I'm gathering resources, I'm going to be filling up inventory space that I'll use later once I have a sieve. Okay, so about that sieve, let's do something about that. Now I hope that I've planted enough trees and infested them that I will get enough string. I need 18 string to make a sieve. Alright, this may or may not work. Let me try this and see what happens here. Aha! Okay, that sort of worked. Okay, infestation is spreading, so I can harvest a little more of that once I get some more string here. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of things here. I shouldn't be sprinting, because sprinting actually does use quite a bit of energy, and that's just all the more food I'm going to have to eat. Saplings, I don't necessarily need saplings. I'll get saplings now that I have a steady supply. Dirt is another story. String over the silkworm, don't really need the silkworm. So sieve. You need 2 of those meshes. I'll save the rest of this string for later. Make a supply of sticks. Oops. I am going to make a crook. And there is a sieve. Basic reward bag. Alright, let's dump off some of this stuff that I don't need to be carrying with me all the time. Let's see what's in the basic reward bag. More marble. Like I said, really doesn't do me any good. Some more trees going. And since it is relatively early, I'm going to try to hold off sieving as long as possible. I'm going to basically try to gather as many resources as I can. I want a very large supply, at least 5 or 6 stacks of the dirt and the turf. And then just before it gets dark, I'm going to sieve turf to get glowstone, to make glowstone torches, and then at the very, very last minute I'm going to try to light all this up enough with glowstone torches to keep me safe. If I don't make it, if the sun actually sets before I get to that point, I'll seal off the entrance to the base. And then at that point it's basically just crossing your fingers and hoping a meteor doesn't wipe out your oxygen. I just wanted to make this a little bigger since I planted more trees. When I harvest them, you know, sometimes the saplings and apples and stuff will go over on the other side of the wall, so I want to prevent that if I can. How many more? I got one more pick. Alright, let's see. Okay. Very, very slow. Okay. Getting some turf, getting some resources. Very necessary. Now your progression early in the game is pretty dependent on the various quests and quest rewards. Some of the quests, by doing the quest, you're going to get items that you need, and then if you combine those with the quest rewards that you get, you can make some of the initial technology, which is things like the initial initial cobblestone generator that you need fairly quickly. Yeah, okay, that was good to test. What I'm going to do here may seem a little strange, but I'm going to break the ties here, because at the moment I don't need string as much as I need wood. And as long as I've got silkworms, when I get to the point of wanting a second sieve and therefore need more string, I can do this again. But that's going to be a fair amount of time until I need a second sieve. Basically, once I get to the point of having an automatic sieve and a power source for it, a second sieve will come in handy, because while the powered sieve is working, and it'll work slow initially because you don't have enough power to really kind of run it fast, you can manually sieve stuff and basically kind of increase your rate of production. Let me just chop this tree down. Well, there's the recycle trucks again. I actually live on a cul-de-sac, so this is one of the few places where they can turn around, so they actually come down my street more than once on recycling day. Again, I apologize. Nothing I can do about it. Okay. have a little bit of a supply of wood for later. And I actually have enough string that if I wanted to make a second sieve, I could. I don't want to waste the wood right now. It doesn't serve me any purpose to make it now. Okay, I'm going to put this chest over here. And the reason is I'm going to put the star inside it so that it's at that oxygen recycler. Now this star will last a very, very long time. So if you just put it in there and leave it, it'll give you quite a bit of time to get to the point of having an alternate energy source to produce oxygen and also to run your other equipment. But that just seems very, very wasteful to me. I mean, you probably waste something like 75% of its power if you just leave it in there and let it run without it producing oxygen. So I'm not saying I'm not ever going to forget it, but for the most part I'm going to try to take it out when I'm not using it. And by having that chest right there next to it makes it a little easier to do that. Now eventually my base will have an above ground and a below ground, and the above ground is where I'll have a tree farm, and I don't know if I'll actually have food farms or not. Like I may have said, you don't really need them. If you have a big enough tree farm, you can just live off of apples. But I may. I don't know. It just kind of depends on my mood. And speaking of oxygen, it looks like I'm getting close to needing to go refill some tanks. So let's go do that real quick. Okay, so while the oxygen is being produced, I'm actually going to sieve a little bit because I got to stay near here. And looky there, first piece of glowstone and some redstone. Let's see what I've got so far. Flint, gunpowder. So this is the boring part of the game, and honestly, if you do your tech tree right, you won't have to do this that long. Maybe, you know, a couple hours of sieving, and then by that point you should at least have one automatic sieve, which will take some of the burden off. First one should be done or nearly done. Let's see. Glowstone torches. And that's actually good news. What that means is that I think I should be okay now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I didn't plan this out very well. In terms of lighting, when night does eventually come. So if you place these torches so that there's 4 spaces between them in a grid, you should not have any spawnable spots. And I'm going to put some over here just to make sure. It's better to be safe than sorry. Okay. Okay. There we are. So I'm going to clear some of this a little bit. Now again, that wall will not keep spiders out, but it will keep creepers and zombies and skeletons out. But I do want to make sure that nothing can get on the roof. And the mobs won't jump up 2 blocks on their own, but if they get hit, if for some reason one skeleton shoots another skeleton and pops it up in the air, it could conceivably get up on the roof here. And then in that case it could get over the wall. So I just want to do a little something to maybe protect me from that a little bit. And as I said, I'm taking a little bit of a gamble here by not having a blast shield. But if you make a blast shield out of the moon turf and the moon dirt, that does work, but because they are very, very susceptible to blasts, it takes 2 or 3 layers of that to give you any protection at all. And if you're wasting those resources putting them on the roof of your hab, you won't have them at night to sieve. So for the first day it makes more sense to since you only have a little bit of time invested in it, if a meteor comes and wipes out your oxygen production, just start over. I mean, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but it's kind of think of it as like losing to Pac-Man. You just put another quarter in and start again. I wish I had a magnet. It makes the gathering so much easier. And what I may possibly do, since I've already got a tree farm and I've already got torches lit and I think I'm fully protected, is as soon as this torch burns out, which will be relatively quick, I have a goodly supply of the base materials. I may start sieving early rather than waiting until it's just about to get dark. I may just go ahead and just start sieving. But before I do that, I want to do a once around and just make sure that I have good protection from mobs, that I don't have vulnerabilities that will bite me later. Yep, and there went the pick. Okay, so let's see. And a good rule of thumb is if I can't make the jump, the monsters can't make the jump. Now, of course, the spiders can, but I can't make that jump, so. And from here, I can't make that jump. From here, I can make the jump. But again, the mobs won't know that. And it's pretty rare for one spider or for one skeleton to shoot another skeleton and pop it up in the air. So as long as I'm not out here, the chances of that happening are pretty low. So what I may do is just gather some wood real quick, because there's a whole bunch of quests that require wood. Most notably the chopper quest, which I will need a chopper relatively soon, because it gets pretty tedious chopping down trees if you don't have to. Now the interesting thing is, if you have one of the very large oversized trees, the mod that allows this, I don't even know what it's called, but basically by chopping down a log in a tree, you get the entire tree. The big trees produce an awful lot of logs and saplings and apples and just a rain of stuff. But because it's the moon, it all kind of floats there for a minute, and you have to just kind of give it a minute till it will come down to ground. Now once I've chopped down this tree and gathered up the wood and stuff, I'll replant and then go inside and start sieving. I am not going to bother to bone meal those, because while I'm in here sieving, they'll should expand on their own. And let me put some of this stuff away. And I'm going to do one thing. Now that will keep spiders from coming in, the ones that get over the wall when night falls. Are there any of these quests I can complete? Not without sieving. One quest with unclaimed rewards, and that is this one here. That's actually not a bad one to do. And the reason is now I have extra quest books. And that way, if I die, I don't have to worry about finding my tombstone to get a quest book to get more oxygen. Well, I think I'm going to call it right there. This has been a halfway decent start. It's halfway through roughly noon on the first day on the moon. Um, I've got a little tree farm, I've got a wall, I've got it lit up enough that I'm relatively protected. I have a supply of resources to sieve at night. And I think that's a pretty good stopping point. So thank you for watching. There may or may not be more of these videos. It really just kind of depends on how much time I have. I do work full-time, so my time to record is pretty much limited to a short period before work in the morning and then on the weekends. So it just kind of depends on how much I enjoy recording and how much people enjoy my recording. So if nobody's watching and it's not really doing anybody any good, then it's not really doing me any good to spend my time this way. So, but if you do watch, thank you, I appreciate it, and have a good day. Arturo Ramirez signing out.